Hey BookTube, I have a tag video for you today. I saw this over on Steve Donoghue's channel. He stole the idea essentially from a video that Luke Kosh made where he was talking about reading Livy, and Steve latched on to this idea in a different fashion of wanting to know what everyone's favorite Penguin Classics book is. And this could be your favorite book in general, or it could be just Penguin Classics that has a sentimental attachment, or that you have a sentimental attachment to. So Steve made this a tag video because that's what Steve does. Everything is a tag now, apparently. Anyway, so I thought I would do this video. It's going to be pretty short because I'm only talking about one book. Anyway, so my favorite Penguin Classic is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. It's in this older edition of the Penguin Classics. It's not the new version of them. I think I got this at a library book sale. In fact, I'm fairly positive I did. This edition was published in 1996, this edition of the Penguin Classic. Anyway, so I know that Dickens is sort of one of those authors on BookTube it seems like people either really love or they really hate. There are a few people who are kind of indifferent to him. I fall in the really love camp, maybe not as much as Katie from Books and Things, but I definitely really do like him, and Bleak House is my favorite book of Charles Dickens. Like I said, I got this at a library book sale, and up until that point of getting Bleak House, the only other Dickens I had really read was David Copperfield. And I can't remember if I read The Christmas Carol or not. But with David Copperfield, I was supposed to read that book for a British novel class that I took in undergrad. And I think I only read about half of it or so, and never really finished it. And so then I got Bleak House, like I said, at this book sale, and I read it and loved it. This was the first, funnily enough, I think this was the first Dickens novel, except for maybe The Christmas Carol, but I could be wrong, that I actually completed. So how's that for being hardcore when it comes to Dickens? Anyway, this book is just so, in my opinion, perfect when it comes to atmosphere, and really gives off those amazing Victorian London, foggy, dirty vibes that I just love. And then I also love the story that goes with this as well. And so I just, yeah, I love this edition of Bleak House because it's the first copy that I read Bleak House in. I have a new edition now that's one of the Penguin cloth-bound classics, but I kept this edition because, like I said, it holds that nostalgia factor for me, in that it was the first edition of Bleak House that I read, right? And I mean, it's so battered, like, look at the spine is all cracked, and it's yellowed, the pages are kind of dirty. It's been well loved even before I got it, and so yeah, I will hang on to this probably until it falls apart. And honestly, if I read Bleak House again anytime soon, I will probably read it out of this rather than my nice cloth-bound edition, purely so I don't mess up that edition, which sounds stupid but true. I would really like to reread this. I've read it, I think, twice now at least. And I would like to read it again at some point, because I feel like anytime I read this book, I always get something new out of it. If you're not familiar, Bleak House is basically about a court case of John Dice and John Dice, and there's an inheritance involved, and the inheritance is basically just being eaten up by this court case that just goes on and on and on and on. And then there are these orphans who are under the care of Esther Summerson, and she falls in love with their the gentleman that they go live with, and yeah, it's got all these interweaving plots to it that I just really enjoy. And holding this makes me want to go reread it right now, even though I'm in the middle of several other books. But yeah, this is just, like I said, one of my favorite Dickens novels. Actually, it is my favorite Dickens novel, and it's pretty high up there on my list of my favorite books in general. And this is definitely my favorite Penguin classic, both because I love the book itself, and I also have nostalgia for the book as a physical object, because, like I said, this was the first edition of Bleak House that I read, right? So, yeah, like I said, it has that physical, or that nostalgia factor going on for me in terms of the book as a physical object. So, yeah, my favorite Penguin classic is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And have a good day, BookTube.